Way, but they got some talented young players over there that play hard, and this game could have gone either way, and we were very fortunate to get some stops and then some baskets on the other end.
Dwight Howard racked up 23 points and 14 rebounds as the Rockets outlasted the Magic 119-114 in overtime at the Toyota Center. Howard says they are trying to improve every time out.
We got a long season. Like I said, it's a marathon, and want to make sure that we get better each game. I know personally for myself, I want to make sure that each game I'm pushing myself to get in better shape.
For USA Radio Sports, I'm Tammy Rose.
Growing green to generate more green.
Hello to all you happy herbalizers, smiling trippy hippies, and everyone who believes in freedom and tolerance. This is The Grow Show, and I'm Kyle Cushman.
From food to fuel, from remedy to resource.
Welcome my guest, Ed Rosenthal, the guru of ganja. Let me ask you, right now I hear your lighter clicking. Are you smoking indoor or are you smoking sun-grown?
What am I smoking? I'm smoking concentrate.
Way to get out of the answer there. So you're truly like the king, right? You just clap your hands and somebody brings you a bowl and you're all set, right?
I wish that were the case.
The Grow Show with Kyle Cushman, only on CannabisRadio.com.
Ganjapreneur.com, your guide to the cannabis business world. Ganjapreneur.com is a comprehensive resource for cannabis professionals and entrepreneurs. Download the Ganjapreneur app on your smartphone or tablet to catch up on cannabis industry news, scroll through our daily job listings, and learn about successful cannabis companies, executives, and investors. Ganjapreneur.com, helping ganjapreneurs grow. Ganjapreneur.com, your guide to the cannabis business world. Ganjapreneur.com is a comprehensive resource for cannabis professionals.
This is the USA Radio Business Report. I'm Russ Jones. Federal regulators are hitting Japanese airbag maker Takata with the largest fine in the history of the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. NHTSA Administrator Mark Rosekind announced the penalty.
Takata agrees to pay the largest civil penalty in NHTSA's history, $200 million. It must pay $70 million in cash and remaining amounts if it violates the terms of NHTSA orders.
Takata will have to phase out and recall all the defective airbag inflators that have been known to rupture. Officials are also accelerating recalls of the defective airbags.
It orders the 12 manufacturers that have issued Takata recalls to complete those recalls on an accelerated schedule and to prioritize vehicles based on risk.
More than 19 million vehicles in the U.S. have already been recalled over the issue. This is the USA Radio Business Report. I'm Russ Jones.
Your connection to quality cannabis insurance services is spelled K-A-E-R-C-H-E-R. That's Karcher Insurance. We have worked with ventures like cannabis for over 60 years. We're proud to represent over 50 companies with tailor-made cannabis plans for owners just like you to insure your product, your plants, and your pursuits. K-A-E-R-C-H-E-R spells out their full-service insurance services ranging from commercial to bonds to personal, from life to health, and more. Contact the team at KarcherInsurance.com and let our experience work for you. That's K-A-E-R-C-H-E-R Insurance.com.
Contact Karen and the team at Karcher Insurance at 1-844-421-3560. That's 844-421-3560. Podcasting about all things cannabis. This is CannabisRadio.com, a service of Cannabis Media. Stand by for another great hour of CannabisRadio.com. But first, let's get you informed with news around the world in 90 seconds.
USA Radio News, I'm Ron Taylor. U.S. intelligence officials reportedly believe an explosive linked to ISIS brought down a Russian jet in Egypt over the weekend.
U.S. officials have reported that intelligence supports the theory that a bomb planted in a piece of luggage or somewhere else on the plane likely downed the Metro jet flying from Egypt's Sharm el-Sheikh resort to St. Petersburg in Russia last weekend. An ISIS-linked group in Egypt called the Sinai Province claimed responsibility for the crash that killed more than 220 people. The ISIS affiliate has been waging a bloody insurgency in the north north of the Sinai Peninsula that has killed hundreds of policemen and civilians so far. I'm Joe Gomez.
The fallout is just beginning now that the death of an Illinois police officer has been ruled a suicide. Authorities say Fox Lake police officer Charles Joseph Glinovitz staged his own death on September 1st to cover up years of embezzlement. And now there's word that his wife and son are under investigation in connection with his crimes. Also, an organization that helps survivors of officers killed in the line of duty wants its donation back from Mrs. Glinovitz. You're listening to USA Radio News.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Ollie Barrett. UK Prime Minister David Cameron is hosting Egypt's President Sisi for talks in London as Britain grounds flights out of Sharm el-Sheikh over security fears. Myanmar's opposition leader Aung San Suu Kyi says she will be above the president if she wins Sunday's election. And a major rescue operation is underway in Lahore in Pakistan to save what's thought to be dozens of people trapped in rubble after a factory collapsed.
Your connection to quality cannabis insurance services is spelled K-A-E-R-C-H-E-R. That's Karcher Insurance. We have worked with ventures like cannabis for over 60 years. We're proud to represent over 50 companies with tailor-made cannabis plans for owners just like you to insure your product, your plants, and your pursuits. K-A-E-R-C-H-E-R spells out their full-service insurance services ranging from commercial to bonds to personal, from life to health, and more. Contact the team at KarcherInsurance.com and let our experience work for you. That's K-A-E-R-C-H-E-R Insurance.com.
Contact Karen and the team at Karcher Insurance at 1-844-421-3560. That's 844-421-3560.
Cannabis Confidential with Dr. Dina. Candid.
I want to give you the inside story.
Captivating.
I want to introduce you to my kind and amazingly talented friends.
Compelling.
We get to meet some of the most amazing cannabis activists and warriors around.
Listen in as medical marijuana pioneer Dr. Dina shares never-before-heard stories, chats with cannabis insiders and celebrity friends, and provides invaluable perspective and insight into one of the fastest-growing industries in the world.
I want to share with you what was once confidential information. Let's expose the truth, discuss the issues, and learn the facts.
Cannabis Confidential, only on CannabisRadio.com.
Setting fire to the stoner stereotype. Let's tackle some burning issues with Dr. Mitch Earlywine right now, only on CannabisRadio.com. Setting fire to the stoner stereotype. Sparking up candid conversations with cannabis researchers, entrepreneurs, and advocates. Educator, author, and advocate Dr. Mitch Earlywine is here to tackle the burning issues. CannabisRadio.com presents a no-holds-barred platform that seeks to redefine and revolutionize the entire scope of the cannabis culture while opening the door for more to join the cannabis crusade. Please welcome the host of Burning Issues, Dr. Mitch Earlywine.
Thanks so much for joining us on Burning Issues, part of the Cannabis Radio family. I'm your host, Dr. Mitch Earlywine. As many of you know, I'm professor of psychology at the University of Albany, author of the Oxford University Press book, Understanding Marijuana, and the High Times columnist for Ask Dr. Mitch. Today, we'll have a new segment of Self-Compassion and the Art of Activism, but first, we've got some delightful time with television personality Rick Steves. As Ricknicks around the world know, Rick's TV show shows you how to be a temporary local at some of the most amazing places on earth. His travel guides help people save money and have a splendid time. In fact, the book on Paris helped make my 10th anniversary a complete delight. Rick has also done astounding work for the Cannabis Crusade. He schlepped all around Washington State, giving compelling talks to voters, and we all owe him a debt of gratitude for helping pass the tax and regulate law there. He could have rested on his laurels and just enjoyed the Washington products, but instead he headed down to Oregon to help more Americans. His talks helped get voters out in droves so Oregon can save court time and law enforcement efforts with their taxed and regulated market. So let's give a warm Burning Issues welcome to Rick Steves.
Hey, Mitch.
Rick, you're Caucasian, you're over 25. The chances that you'd ever be arrested are really minimal. Why put effort into repealing prohibition?
You know, Mitch, I was outspoken on this in Washington State and running around and giving talks and raising people's awareness of this. And I got to know Gil Kerlikowske, who was the police chief of Seattle at the time's lead narcotics guy. And he was tracking me to know what we're doing in the marijuana movement and the drug reform movement. And he asked me that same question. He said, you're, a well-off, comfortable white guy here in the suburbs of Seattle. With discretion, you can enjoy marijuana for the rest of your life with no impacts. And I just couldn't believe that he was actually acknowledging that this is a racist law, that it is enforced not equally across the board in our community. And Mayor LaGuardia, when they were dealing with the prohibition against alcohol, said that when a society has a law in the books that it does not intend to enforce consistently across the board, the very existence of that law erodes a respect for law enforcement in general. And what we've got in the books right now in most of the United States is a law that makes marijuana illegal, and all of the statistics and the experience indicates that it is a racist law, and rich white people don't get arrested, poor people and people of color do. That's one major reason for anybody who cares about our community to get involved, and that's something I was proud to do.
It's great. Harry Levine has those data suggesting in New York City that if your Spanish is better than mine or your skin is darker, you're at more risk for arrest, and it really upsets me. And then people occasionally ask if my wife is of African descent or something like that, and it's really not that. It's really just part of our love for each other. You started speaking out when it was still really scary. Do you think your stance on cannabis and homelessness and other issues could put your business at risk?
Well, if it did, I think I would still speak out. I remember a decade ago, I was at a peace sign in front of my building where I employ 100 people here just north of Seattle at Rick Steves Europe. And I was walking across the street looking at the building. We had our peace sign out, our peace flag out, and the man across the street said, "Boy, I bet if you knew how much that flag cost you at your bottom line, you wouldn't have put that flag out." And it just really astounded me that somebody could actually support a war that they don't believe in because they're concerned about their bottom line. We're maybe it's because I'm a traveler and I know that half of humanity is trying to live on $2 a day, and all of our economic hardships here have to be put in relative terms. But I wouldn't embrace a lie that was causing 80,000 people, mostly poor people and people of color, to be in jail, and that was causing 800,000 people to be arrested every year. I wouldn't embrace that lie because it affected my business. Now, I've been speaking out on this, Mitch, as you know, for more than a decade. I've been a board member of NORML for more than a decade, and I think I've always said I'm not pro-pot, I'm pro-civil liberties. I've always said that I don't think use will go up if we legalize, tax, and regulate marijuana. I've always said it will just take business away from organized crime and we can have regulated businesses. I've always had the European kind of pragmatic harm reduction take on this. And I find that people, conservative and liberal, if you get 10, 15 minutes to talk to them about this issue, they can at least respect that some caring citizen would oppose the status quo when it comes to the war on marijuana. They don't need to agree with you, but they can see that there's good grounds for opposing it. Every once in a blue moon, somebody's going to say, "Oh, Rick, I know what you think about marijuana, and we're not going to take your tours, and we're not going to read your guidebooks anymore." And, I just have to think, well, Europe's going to be more fun without you. I mean, some people are hopeless that way.
You mentioned sort of injecting a European sensibility to the U.S.'s drug policy. Can you kind of just unpack that idea for our listeners? What is the European sensibility?
The European sensibility, Mitch, is the only thing gateway about marijuana is the fact that it is illegal. Because when it's illegal, casual recreational smokers have to buy it from criminals on the street, and these criminals on the street are savory characters, and they've got a vested interest in getting you, the person inclined to experiment with drugs, hooked on something harder, more profitable, and more addictive. That's why marijuana is a gateway, if it is, because you got to buy it from people who'd like to sell you harder stuff. And the other European sensibility is use. Consumption is not it's not correlated to how strict are the laws. By every country, every society's track record, there's no correlation between how strict are the laws and how many people are smoking. For instance, the Netherlands is famously progressive and easy on marijuana, and by every government statistics, our governments and theirs, The Dutch smoke about half the average that the Americans do. And among European nations, the Dutch, who are about the most progressive on the issue, smoke much less than the European average. And you can do hard time in the United States, and there's a lot more smoking of pot here per capita. So I think it's a big misnomer in the United States that consumption will go up if we legalize. A lot of Americans are very fearful about this. They don't want their society to turn into one big hemp fest, and I can understand those concerns. And they think there's a big reservoir of decent people who would just